This week on the Game Marks podcast, we play Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advanced. How does this portable version of Fire Pro Wrestling hold up today? Will we play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Plug in, put on those nostalgia goggles because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks!
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am the man of 1,001 nicknames, George Feis. And today we are playing Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advanced.
And as always, we love to hear from you guys, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen and join the conversation on social media at Game Marks Pod. Georgie, man of 1,001 nicknames. What is it this week? Let's hear it.
My nickname this week is Georgie Spears because apparently when I play Call of Duty Warzone, I am toxic.
Oh, I get it. I get it. You are toxic. Okay.
We got some clever game marks over here, so.
It's because when you shoot the other guy, they're saying, hit me, baby, one more time because you miss every shot.
Wow. All right.
Regardless, last week we played UWC, the prototype. How you feeling?
Good. Still think it's a really cool game. Still think it was super fun and interesting to play a prototype on this show. Just overall very excited about it. Sticking with my rating from last week.
All right, cool. Because I mentioned on Clash and Burn this week, if you want to listen, came out Friday, that like this is one of those games I just kept doing a deep dive on, even like after we stopped recording, because it's just like
the deeper dive.
Like everything just fascinated me about this game, and I just thought it was really cool. And something we didn't touch on that apparently a lot of people complained about, which how are you going to complain about a prototype that's like 30 years old? But in the tag team mode, you actually don't see the opponent on the apron, but like, come on, guys, this is an NES game. If you're going to complain about that, when we have this hidden gem here, like this is awesome. Beggars can't be choosers, you know?
Yep, I agree.
But as always, we like to plug our Discord server. That is GameMarksPod.com/Discord, and you can enter our chat. We got some new members this week. We are always popping, always talking about something game or wrestling related, so join us today.
And of course, we have the streamer spotlight for the month of January. That is the Elder Spork, twitch.tv/the Elder Spork. Again, amazing speedrunner, amazing content creator. He also announced in our Discord that it is the time of year where he and his crew are putting on the Super Mario All-Stars tournament. He will be taking part in that as a speedrunner as well as doing commentary. And you can check that out at twitter.com/Rupert, ROOPERT 83, at Rupert83.
All right, go Elder. Now here is your weekly reminder, guys, that if you purchase our t-shirt on prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod, once we hit 10 sales, we will be releasing a Bret Hart retrospect episode, much like we did The Undertaker last month. So let's get that Bret Hart episode, and then who knows what we're going to unlock after that.
Oh, I'm very excited. Big fan of doing these video game retrospectives.
Me too, but we had a big announcement this week. 2 weeks ago, we said that within the next couple weeks, we were going to announce something relating to a No Mercy type federation of sorts that we will be putting on our YouTube channel. Last week, we put out a nice little teaser video, which you chef's kiss. It was beautiful. Brought me back to the N64 days. But I think it's time we give the full details. We lay it all out. And we tell everyone what GMP 64 is going to be.
All right, well, like Johnny just said, the name of this Fed is GMP 64. It is Team Johnny Clash versus Team George Feis. Johnny's brand is named Clashed, and my brand is named Anything is Feasible. Now, in terms of the roster, we will be splitting the roster between the two of us, and almost every member of the roster is eligible to be drafted. There are certain people that are kept as neutral.
So you don't want Linda?
Can both use them. Linda McMahon is one of them. There will be certain people that will be left neutral so that we can both use them in our matches. We will also be splitting the 18 creator wrestler slots. So Johnny will get 9 and I will also get 9. But we will not be releasing who those people are until they are used in matches. Now, there will be weekly shows on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast, every Thursday, 7 p.m. 2 to 4 matches per show, as Johnny and I go head to head for every title in that game. Now, there are going to be stipulations for the winners and losers of all of those matches, but you have to stay tuned each week to find out what that is going to be. There'll be monthly live pay-per-views on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GameMarksPod. And this was the big news that we dropped last week in that trailer. The live draft is this Wednesday, January 27th, during the Wednesday night stream that I do. So 8 p.m., January 27th, the live draft for GMP64 begins.
Are you making a list? Are you checking it twice? What are you doing? Are you preparing, or are you just gonna wing it?
I've had my draft list already made. I've got my list of created wrestlers that I have to make.
Okay.
I'm ready. I really think that my first couple of picks are gonna throw you for a loop.
Well, I think I could say the same, and we're gonna figure out who goes first by just a coin toss, and we're going to go every other. We're not going to do a snake because that's just dumb. It's only 2 of us. But
now, so here's the thing. I'm a little nervous about the draft because I am not a fantasy sports guy, and I know that you are. So I feel like in terms of drafting, you're going to have an advantage because you're going to know little tricks and secrets and things that you can do to get a leg up, but I think I'll be able to hold my own.
Nah, I mean, the roster. We've all played through this roster. We know who's available. I think this is gonna be awesome. I mean, we'll put all the roster into divisions, and we'll each week, 2 of our intercontinental guys will go after each other. Then we'll have 2 tag teams. We'll have tournaments. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be like watching the Attitude Era all over again. Just it's gonna be on N64.
It's going to be great. Very, very excited. And who knows, with the creative wrestler slots, anything is available. Everything is open. So
anything is feasible.
Anything is feasible. You're not just limited to the Attitude Era. If you wanted to make John Cena and bring John Cena in, you totally could do that.
You know what else is feasible? You're going to get clashed.
Yeah. When you start beating me in the weekly games here, I'll be a bit more nervous about No Mercy.
Okay. Now, you said the live draft will be this Wednesday, January 27th at 8 p.m. Now, the first episode will drop on February 4th, and that will be premiered on YouTube at 7 p.m. So stay tuned. Yeah, I'm ready.
Cannot wait. So excited.
But with that, how about we now move on over to some gaming news?
Let's do it.
What's up, Game Marks Podcast? This is Danny Tancredi, and I'm here with my brother Johnny Tancredi, and together we are the Cult Looking Podcast. Each week we bring to you the latest news and reviews on all things baseball collectibles. From baseball cards and memorabilia to bobbleheads and stadium giveaways, each episode will discuss the newest products to hit the shelves of your local card store and your favorite ballparks around the country. Be sure to be following us on Instagram at the Cult Looking Podcast and on Twitter at CultLookingBB. New episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to tune in wherever great podcasts like this one are available. The Cult Looking Podcast. Don't get caught looking, start collecting.
It's official. Fortnite skins for Sarah Connor and the T-800 are now available to purchase in Fortnite. You find them in the game shop, with Sarah sporting 2 costume variants. She runs for 1,800 V-Bucks, while T-800 will set players back 1,500 V-Bucks. However, last week they were both for sale for only 2,800 combined. Last week, Devolver Digital confirmed its 2020 hit Fall Guys isn't coming to any form of Xbox Game Pass. Speculation that Fall Guys was being added began after the official Xbox Game Pass Instagram account literally said Fall Guys was coming to the subscription service. Not long after this, Tom Warren of The Verge reported this, which prompted a response from Developer Digital confirming that there are no plans for Fall Guys to come to any form of Game Pass. Wah, wah. Now, last Thursday, Capcom released a Resident Evil Village PS5 demo to download. This demo will be available in the spring for other platforms such as PC and Xbox. But in the night hours, the PS Store was struggling to move along as everyone was looking to download this much anticipated demo. That's all the gaming news we have today. Check back next week.
Man, I gotta tell you, this season in Fortnite, with all the greatest mercenaries, hunters, finders, I can't remember exactly what the term that they're using is.
Stuff they had to do to compete with the other battle royales out there? Yeah.
Well, no, the theme for this is that it's like the greatest trackers across multiple genres. So like
Daryl Dixon?
Bounty hunters? Yeah. But there's so many cool skins that like I wish that they had something like this, you know, like season 2, season 3, like with that, like the height of Fortnite, like could you imagine like running around as a T-800 and, you know, season 3,
be pretty
dropping
awesome.
into Tilted Towers? It'd be awesome.
I just kept my Lucha skin, which ironically enough looks like our logo a little bit. But George, this was a big purchase week, per se. You assisted.
Is this going to be like the first and only weekly purchases for this show?
We've had some before because I like spending my money on stupid things, but this all just came at me really hard this week because last week a friend of mine said he was getting rid of his Xbox One and asked if I wanted it. So obviously I've been saying for almost 2 years now that I wanted to get one just to play Gears of War and Halo over again. Long story short, it's plugged in behind me right now. I bought the Game Pass Ultimate for only $1 for the next 3 months, which is awesome. And I downloaded all the gears. I downloaded the Master Chief Collection. I am ready to hit the ground running on Xbox. But yesterday, I'm sitting here on my computer. I have a MacBook, as I've said about my struggles before with not being able to play Steam games and kind of being limited with a Mac, even though I am a designer, so I love having it for those aspects. And I've been working from home for almost a year now. I thought it was time. I needed a new computer. This one's really struggling. And Georgie, I sent you some links. You sent me links back. This drops Monday. As of Wednesday, I will be the proud owner of a brand new gaming PC.
I am so excited. This opens up an entire new world of things that we can do on this podcast. Playing games is going to be so much easier. Playing games together is going to be so much easier. I'm so excited. I'm happy for you to have a larger library of games to play by yourself.
I saw Age of Empires 2 was available, and that's all I needed. That was cement, baby. But other than that, I mean,
when you say it like that, it gives it like a dirtier, worse connotation.
Good. Other than that, I mean, I've always wanted to like stream not PlayStation games. That's just the easiest because I could do it straight from the console. But now I could play Power Rangers, I could play Aladdin, I could play literally anything I want on stream, and it's going to be awesome.
It's true. That's true. Very excited. Very, very excited for you. Welcome to the world of PC gaming.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready, but here we go.
Few are.
All right. So with that, George, are you ready for the question of the week?
Let's do it.
Ooh, yeah. Game Marks, We're here to tell you that the Game Marks podcast is on Pro Wrestling Tees and T Public, But the cream will always rise to the top. Now, there are 2 ways to shop. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod or tpublic.com/user/GameMarksPod, because you know the Game Marks podcast is the cream of the crap, So head on over today and bow down to the kingdom of the madness. Your mustache is crooked, Marks.
George, ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod. We have beautiful designs up there. I own every single one of them. Like we said, once 10 are sold, we will bring you that Bret Hart episode, so check them out today.
But the question of the week. This is the weekly segment where we go back and forth and ask each other a question, and then we like to propose the same question to you. And you let us know your answers on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Last time, it was my question, and I asked, what video game world would you like to live in?
All right, so Breaks and Bros says, for some reason, Skate 3 pops into their mind. That's kind of just the regular world, but that's okay.
I mean, there's a lot more skateboarders in that world. I'm down for that world.
Right. Now, Total Debacle Shirt Co. says BioShock pre-downfall of Rapture.
Oh, okay. All right.
But here's the one that got me because it's something we didn't think of and we should have, and it's Pokemon.
Oh, shit.
Right? Like, why?
That's a good one.
Why didn't we think of that?
That's a good one.
I think that was every kid's dream growing up was
That's
to live
such a good one.
Yeah, live in Pallet Town.
Yeah, definitely growing up dream. Definitely not 2021 George still wishing that that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm disappointed we didn't think of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, that was really good. But this week, Johnny, it is your turn. So whenever you are ready, sir.
Okay, so we saw as of this recording, we don't know who wins the Royal Rumble yet because it happened yesterday. Technically, but really Sunday. The Rumble's winding down. Number 30 has entered the ring. That WrestleMania sign is in the distance. There are only 2 superstars left in the ring. I want you to fantasy book who those 2 are for the men's and women's Royal Rumble and who goes over.
Now, is it anybody that's like on the active roster, or like do legends and like the surprise entrance
Legends, All Elite Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the Indies, whatever. I don't care.
It's everybody?
Fantasy book it. Who deserves the opportunity to go to WrestleMania and be a star?
All right. I'm going to say final 2 for the men's. I'm going to put it as, and I just think that this is the first lineup that came to mind. I'm not even going to put a lot of effort into it. A lot of thought into it. I'm just going to go first ones that come to my mind. Men's Royal Rumble. I'm going to say it's Shawn Spears and AJ Styles, with Shawn Spears going over.
Okay. I like it.
I feel like...
Is it because your nickname this week is George Spears?
No, I've always been a fan of Shawn Spears. And I think that he hasn't really had that opportunity to like show that he can do those like distance matches and like get his moment to shine. And I think that he has the potential to be that main event spot. And I think that he could do it after the Rumble. So that's my shot for men's. And then women's. Oh, women's is tough. All right, I'm gonna put Asuka in there, and I'm gonna say it's Asuka and Asuka Chris Statlander.
Oh, okay. I like it.
With obviously we're gonna put friend of the show Chris Statlander over.
Yeah, of course. All right, good choices. I was a little simpler though. I like okay. I like when people win that like haven't won before or haven't really gotten that shot. Like when Del Rio won, that was cool. Like when Drew McIntyre won, that was cool. Like when it's like Roman or like The Rock, you're like, okay, whatever. Like Batista won, whatever. We've seen this already. I want Jeff Hardy and Finn Balor as the last 2, obviously with Finn going over.
Oh, that is.
And then I want that match.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I was just saying. And then can we just like have that be a feud for the next year?
And obviously we don't know who won any Rumble yet because it hasn't happened yet in Game Marks podcast world as we record this. I'm going to assume Alexa Bliss is going to win this Rumble for reasons. And my fantasy booking is I want the legendary Eve Torres, probably my favorite diva of all time, to be in there with someone who deserves, I think, way more recognition than they get, and that's Mickie James, and I want her to go over.
Oh, absolutely.
I want
you
her
want over. Mickie to go over?
Mickey's
or you
over.
Want Eve Torres? Mickey's over.
Yeah.
Damn right. Damn right she's over.
And as always, we like to throw this question now to you, our listeners. Who would you fantasy book as the last two in the Royal Rumble, and who wins?
And making the official announcement here, throwing something randomly into the podcast Johnny doesn't even know about. But over the course of the next couple of weeks, the question of the week segment is going to be changing. We'll make the official announcement when it's going to happen, but we love asking each other these questions, but this is a podcast, I guess we'll say by the marks, for the marks, and we want you guys to ask the questions, and maybe we'll do a little incentive where if we pick your question, we'll send you a little prize ski.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Question of the week's changing. We'll make the official announcement when that's happening, but be on the lookout. Get your questions ready because it's coming.
All right. So with that, George, what do you say we go and take that plunge and we dive headfirst into this week's game, Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advance?
Oh, baby, let's do it. Are you sick of drinking the same old boring coffee with the same old boring flavors? Well, Marks, it's time for you to check out Bones Coffee Company. Bones Coffee isn't just a drink that wakes you up in the morning. It's a full flavor experience. Small batch roasts that are made to order so that every order is guaranteed to be fresh. Unbelievable, all-natural flavors in every single bag. Some of our favorites are blueberry, paradise pie, and chocolate raspberry. But if you're not into the flavored coffees, they've got their single origin series featuring coffee beans from the greatest coffee growing regions in the world. Visit GameMarksPod.com/coffee to place your order and try the world's freshest small batch coffee.
Oh, George, what did you have this morning? What flavor?
Okay, so last week, I'm breaking the rules. So like technically what you're supposed to do is because you don't want the coffee to go like get stale, I guess is the term. It's not really stale. It's just like you're not supposed to have multiple bags of coffee open at the same time. You're supposed to leave like the factory seal.
Screw that. I ripped all of them open at once, sniffed the shit out of them.
I was bad. So last week I had salted caramel. This week we had cookies and dream, which is cookies and cream flavored. It's like scary good. It's like, imagine if you had coffee, like the flavor of coffee, but with like a hint of an Oreo or like a cookies and cream milkshake in the background. It blows my mind. It's like the best cup of coffee I ever had.
Yeah, yesterday I did the blueberry, and today I did the gingerbread again because I just keep a rotation going. But anyway, this game.
The game. Yeah, about the game. So, Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advanced, released in Japan, March 21st, 2001, and in North America, June 2nd, 2001. For the Game Boy Advanced, obviously developed by Spike, published by Spike in Japan, and BAM Entertainment in North America. Now, this is another game in a long series of games in the Fire Pro series. And, we've touched on a lot of them, and there are still a lot left to go. This is a long-running series, and we are going to play all of them.
So, 2001, we've mentioned how, 99, 2000 was just huge for video games. 2004 was big. Now, Game Boy Advance was released in 2001 in Japan on March 21st, and in North America on June 11th, which is ironic because that's the day after this game comes out. So this game was released. If you bought it on the day of release, good luck, because you had to wait a day to actually play it when the Game Boy came out. But WWF Betrayal came out for the Game Boy Color this year, and WWF Road to WrestleMania also came out for the Game Boy Advance. So Game Boy was pretty stocked in 2001.
Oh, yeah. And, this is, again, a console that we both said was one of our favorites in terms of portable consoles. And this, we're going to get into the actual gameplay later, but, it's got everything in terms of game types that you would expect from a Fire Pro game. You have your exhibition modes that include normal, deathmatch, your gruesome mode, and your battle royal. You have a tournament, which is a 16 wrestler single elimination style tournament. You have your league, where you can create a league for up to 64 players. Elimination match, where it's 2 teams of 5 wrestlers that compete in an elimination tournament. Your survival match, where you wrestle the computer in a tournament of normal deathmatch or gruesome matches. And then something a little different that I don't think that we've seen in at least any of the other Fire Pro games that we've played, an audience match, which you can only win by winning the audience's approval.
Now, Lance Storm last week actually tweeted that he wished there was a wrestling game where you have to work together and just do like cool stuff for the approval of the crowd. And then we came across this, and it's kind of similar. Like, you're still getting the audience satisfaction. I just don't think it's exactly what he was saying he wanted, but this is actually incorporated, I think, into Fire Pro games later on, just as something that happens after the match. Like, they will give you the approval rating regardless.
Yeah, and in Fire Pro Wrestling World, you do get the approval rating that just pops up at the end of the matches.
And typical to every other Fire Pro game, which on a Game Boy, you don't see this very often, but there is an edit wrestler, an edit organization, rename, move wrestler, and trade wrestler. Now, I had Road to WrestleMania for the Game Boy Advance. I also had Betrayal. Road to WrestleMania I thought was awesome, but the graphics weren't there. Like, it could have been a Game Boy Color game. I think Game Boy Advance was advanced, like the title says, because I had like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which actually looked like the PlayStation version, like it was 3D. This game, while not looking perfect, what they were able to put into this game, with it's the fighting styles, the roster, the arenas, the wrestlers themselves, the match types, like there's a lot here, and I think it's worth every penny if you were a kid back in 2001 or just someone who wanted like a good wrestling game. The way they ported this to the Game Boy Advance was awesome.
And it looks, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, when someone says the words portable console, the first thing that you think of is like, oh, it's going to have like a reduced graphic type. Like this, like to your point, this looks like a Fire Pro game. It feels like a Fire Pro game. It plays like a Fire Pro game. They literally managed to take all of the experience that you would expect to have if you were familiar with the Fire Pro series and plug it into a Game Boy Advance game. Like, it's awesome.
Me and you were able to go in here and within seconds just pick it up because it was the same mechanics.
Yeah, and how often do you see that where game mechanics, play style, everything is just so ingrained into a series that regardless of what console, what format you're playing the game, there's such a small learning curve. It's mind-blowing. It's awesome.
Just think about it. I mostly play Fire Pro World, and I've gone back now and played how many Fire Pros on this podcast alone, and I'm able to pick it up. Like, this game, they don't change much, and it doesn't need to be changed.
Yeah, and it was, go back and listen to that first Fire Pro episode and listen to how like much of a struggle Johnny had with just getting the timing down. And now with every other Fire Pro game that we've played since, he's like a master, and it's awesome. It's great because like now that he understands the mechanics of the game and how everything works, one, the Clash at the Feast matches become more competitive, which is always great. And two, it changes the appreciation that you have for the game as a whole. Like, you went from completely hating the games to being like, I don't understand it. The mechanics are weird. The grappling system is dumb, to now that you have a good understanding, you actually enjoy playing the game, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I hated the game. I didn't understand it, but now that I understand how to actually like do something, I picked up a Game Boy Advance and I just played it like without even thinking about it. It's awesome.
So now it's time to address the elephant in the room, Johnny Clash, because
elephant in the room.
It is a Fire Pro game, which of course means it is a Fire Pro roster. This game has, you ready for this? We're in the triple digits here. 160 different wrestlers for you to play as. Again, it's a Game Boy Advanced game.
That's just nuts. And typical to Fire Pro Wrestling, these are all non-real wrestlers who resemble real wrestlers. So, okay, George, Obviously, we're going to split this up and go 1 for 1 with...
Oh, no, you're not just reading them all? Oh.
I don't have enough cough drops in the world for that. We'll go 1 for 1 by division, but do we want to read who they are and who they're supposed to be? Do we just want to read their real names? How do you want to do this?
I think we'll just say who the actual real wrestler is.
Okay. First one's big. You take the first one, I'll take the next 2.
Okay. So, you have your New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is known as View Japan Pro Wrestling, and that roster is Antonio Inoki,
Riki Choshu, Masa Saito, Tatsumi Fujinami, Kaiji Muto, Kensuke Sasaki, Manabu Nakaishi, Yuji Nagata, Shiro Koshinaka, Kazuyo Yamazaki, Takayushi Mizuka, Osama Nishimura. It never gets easier. You think it gets easier, and then it doesn't. Yutaka Yoshi, Tadao Yashuda, Junji Harada, Kengo Kimura, Osamu Kido, Jushin Thunder Liger, Brian Johnston, Kotetsu Yamamoto, Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid, Kuniaki Kobayashi, Koji Kanemoto, Shinjiro Otani, Kenda Kashin, El Samurai, Tatsuhito Takaiwa, and Dr. Wagner Jr. Good luck, Johnny. All right. Team 2000, who is Team Black, Masahiro Chono, Hiroyoshi Tenzen, Satoshi Kajima, Tatsutoshi Godo, Mitsuyoshi Ohara, Hiro Saito, Akira, Scott Norton, Don Fry, Super J. Then we have All Japan Pro Wrestling, who is Olive Japan Pro Wrestling. I loved you too. Giant Baba, Jumbo Saruda, Junichiro Tenryu, Toshiaki Kawada, Hiroshi Hase, Hiro Matsuda, Nobutaka Araya, Masanobu Fuchi, Stan Hansen, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, Johnny Ace, Dory Funk Jr., Mike Barton, Taiyo Kia, and Johnny Smith. Pro Wrestling Noah, which is Supernova. You have Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Akira Tao, Jun Akiyama, Takao Omori, Yoshihiro Takayama, Yoshinari Ogawa, Tamon Honda, Jun Izumida, Masao Inoue, Kentaro Shiga, Daisuke Ikeda, Takashi Riko, Vader, Tsuyoshi Kikuchi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Now, Frontier Martial Arts, which is Independent World, Hiromichi Fuyuki, Hayabusa, Masada Tanaka, Dr. Ganosuke, Tetsuhiro Kurata, Hisakatsu Oya, Kentaro Kanemura, Koji Nakagawa, Yado, Gido, H, Riki Fuji, and Kyoko Ino. For Michinoku Pro, which is known as Yukiguni Poresu, you have Jinsei Shinzaki, Mil Mascaras, Dos Caras, The Great Sasuke, Gran Hamada, Super Delphin, Dick Togo, Tiger Mask, 4, Gran Naniwa, Minoru Fujita, and Curry Mask. And now, Tori Yuman, which is Azteca Dragon Team. We have Ultimo Dragon, Magnum Tokyo, Dragon Kid, Sima, and Suwa. Then for World Wrestling Federation, known as the APW, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind, Kane, Shawn Michaels, Big Show, Ken Shamrock, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, X-Pac, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, Eddie Guerrero, Taka Michinoku, and Vince McMahon. And for World Championship Wrestling, which is AWG, we have Bill Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, The Great Muta, Kevin Nash, Bret Hart, Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner, Randy Savage, Terry Funk, Bam Bam Bigelow, DDP, Mike Awesome, Rey Mysterio Jr., and Kaz Hayashi. And then for rings, known as Eclipse, you have Akira Maeda, Kiyoshi Tamura, Yoshihasa Yamamoto, Tsuyoshi Kosaka, Hiromitsu Kanehara, Bitsade Tario, Volkan, Dr. Severn, Dan Severn, and Andre Kipelov. And we have Pancrase, which is high class. We have Masakatsu Funaki, Yuki Kondo, Minoru Suzuki, Yoshinobu Tanahashi, Masaruten, and Semi Schilt. Then you have Battle Arts, who are the Brawlers. You have Yuki Ishikawa, Alexander Otsuka, Katsumi Usuda, Mohamed Yon, and Minoru Tanaka. Now Pride, which is Blade. We have Suzushi Sakuraba, Kazuyuki Fujita, Nobuhiko Takada, Ensan Enao, Masaki Sataki, Mark Kerr, and Igor Vovcha-cha-la-la-la. Shoot Fighters, known as Grapple. So you have Rickson Gracie, Alexander Carlin, Hoist Gracie, Renzo Gracie, Gerard Godot, Peter Aerts, Andy Hug, and Rumina Saito. And now freelance, you have Naoya Ogawa, Shinya Hashimoto, Atsushi Onita, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, Yoshiaki Yatsu, Yoji Anjo, Kazunari Murakami, Masahiro Kakihara, Mitsuharu Matsunaga, Tarzan Godu, Mr. Pogo, Shoji Nakamaki, Nayoko Sano, The Great Kabuki, Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal, Abdul the Butcher, Tiger Jeet Singh, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, Masawa Arihara, and Negro Casas. Hey, I got that one right this time. Now, for the legends, you have Ricky Dozan, Carl Gotch, Luthez, Super Tiger, Killer Khan, Bruiser Brody, Andre the Giant, Roland Bach, Gary Albright, Dick Murdoch,
And Bob Backlund.
We did it!
Oh, man.
Is that the longest one we've read so far?
I think so. I feel like it's always the Fire Pro games.
Yeah, we're eternally cursed by those.
Yeah, oh my god.
Now let's take a look at the character models of this said roster, because it's right on par with every other Fire Pro game where they're not perfect. They're not 3D models of the accurate wrestler, but you know it's them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. You know exactly who is in the ring, who they're supposed to be modeled after, but it's, it looks good. The only thing that's missing in this game from the more modern titles is that the ref actually isn't in the ring with you during the matches. He exists in like a little picture-in-picture window, and that's how he makes the calls.
I actually like that because, the Game Boy Advance screen wasn't big at all, and
it makes
save
sense.
Space, throw them in the corner. Everything else looks pretty Fire Pro-ish, though. They have the 3-corner turned ring, the Spike logo in the middle, like usual. Everything's aspected out right. The gruesome fighting looks the same with the cage, and you just by picking this up, you would know this is a Fire Pro game if you were familiar with any other version.
So that's the graphic style, but in addition to the graphic style, we also like to break down the artwork. So, front cover is a very different art style, I think, that we expect to see from the Fire Pro Wrestling covers. This is a 3D render of a character with a obviously Fire Pro Wrestling-esque on fire logo. It's very different. It's not what you would expect from the typical Fire Pro series of games, but it looks cool. Like, from the cover, it's, if the words weren't there, it's some kind of wrestling fighting game. And yeah, Johnny, what do you think about this front cover?
It's kind of like Gene Snitsky wearing John Cena's gear with Seth Rollins laying underneath him.
Yes.
Like you said, this is very unlike any other Fire Pro Wrestling game we've seen cover-wise, because they did, maybe because the Game Boy Advance is more directed towards kids, they made it a little more childish. I don't know. But I like it. It sends a message home.
Yes, I 100% agree. And then on your back cover, fully flamed out back emblem here. It says, "Step into the Fire Pro Wrestling ring and experience blistering hot wrestling action that will blow you away. Extreme wrestlers, mass luchadors, martial artists, ultimate fighters. They're all here, and they all have one mission: win at any cost. Choke slams, flying backbreakers, pile drivers, skull crushers. No move is too extreme, and nothing is illegal unless you get caught. Wow. Choose from over 150 different wrestlers, each with their own fighting styles and special finishing moves. Create your own wrestler. Choose from over 1,200 different techniques and build the ultimate warrior." Not actually the Ultimate Warrior, but I guess you could if you wanted to. "Then customize his favorite costume and even create your own wrestling federation. Save them and trade them. Battle against the computer or against up to 3 of your friends in a Titanic Battle Royal. Go head-to-head with the computer in the all-new audience match where the audience decides the winner."
All right. I like it. Now,
this is good.
Big emphasis on, no link cable required, like Game Boy Advance. You could just kind of put them up against each other and trade and all that. You could tell that this game was one of the first releases for Game Boy Advance, because the top, it says, "Only for Game Boy Advance and not compatible with other Game Boy systems." I don't believe that was on there later on. But this would actually work in a DS later on, so this game does have that longevity factor.
Absolutely. And you love to see a game that has the ability to what's the word? Transcend its console. If you're able to take a game over to another console, and you don't have to necessarily wait for a remastered or re-released version, that's always super cool. And I feel like something that's, a lost art. Give me that backwards compatibility in those future gen consoles.
Yes, please. I mean, even when I had a DS for a short amount of time, I would mostly, I think, use it to play Game Boy Advance games. So certain things just don't ever go away. But George, other than that, did you know? Did you know Fire Pro Wrestling was the first Fire Pro game to receive an official English translation and the first to be released on a portable system rather than a console?
Did you know? True to many other Fire Pro Wrestling games, MMA is featured with wrestlers representing Pride and the UFC. The Octagon also made an appearance in this game, but was removed in Fire Pro Wrestling 2 for the Game Boy Advance due to copyright issues.
Did you know Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advance has sold for as low as $350 on eBay, and the highest going for only $24.99?
But Johnny, after reading that long roster and really not having this opportunity to do this last week, I think it's time for a little bit of R&R. Hit that lovely, relaxing music and take us through some ratings and reviews.
Oh, why are you always the one getting the relaxation? But Metacritic gives this game an 80 out of 100. Eurogamer with a 7 out of 10. Famitsu with a 27 out of 40. Game Informer with an 8.5 out of 10. GamePro with a 4 out of 5 stars. GameSpot with an 8.7 out of 10. IGN with a 7.5 out of 10. JuxVideo.com with a 10 out of 20. Nintendo Power with only a 1.5 stars out of 5. Nintendo World Report with a 7.5 out of 10. But even with all of these ratings, I think it's time for the most important rating of them all. Because right now, George, it's time to rate the games.
The game!
All right, George Feis.
All right. Oh, I love when we do it at the same time.
All right, George Feis. Fire Pro Wrestling for the Game Boy Advance. Would you play it forever?
Woo!
Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Not only am I going to play this game forever, I may go on record and say that, with the exception of possibly the sequel, this may be the best portable wrestling game I've ever played.
Woo!
Wow. Easy play it forever for you, huh?
Easy, 100%. It's at no point is a game that has this much replayability and this similar of a playstyle to other games in this series, and a roster of 160 people on a Game Boy Advance ever getting future endeavored. Never. It's not going to happen.
Well,
not by me, at least.
I hate to say
not by me, at least.
But no, I'm just kidding. I completely agree with everything you say. Play it forever.
Woo!
Awesome. Great. Nice, short, and sweet.
Yeah, I mean, everything you just said. What more would you want in a wrestling game? If I knew what this series was in 2001, which I didn't, I just wanted everything WWF and WCW, I mean, for a little bit of time. If I knew this existed, this would have been in my Game Boy Advance and probably never left the system ever.
Oh, amazing. Amazing game. But I think it's time for us to talk about our weekly tournament, Clash at the Feast.
All right, so last week we played UWC, the prototype. You can find this on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast. The first match, George tried to throw me off, and he chose Sting. So I chose Sting's nemesis, Ric Flair, and I took the first game. Now the second game, George chose one of his favorites that he's used probably many times on this podcast, Hawk. So obviously I chose Sting, and it was a pure, brutal beatdown because Johnny Clash
squashed me, bro.
Took UWC. George is still up 2-1 this month, but play my music.
Not everything's made to last. This is my life. This is my life.
Now, I hate to cut your little celebration short, but unfortunately, we were only able to snag one copy of this game with one Game Boy Advance. Therefore, they were not able to have a Clash at the Feast tournament for this game. But Johnny, being that I am up in the month of January, I thought that I would give you the choice. What game would you like to square up for the month of January to see if I'm running away with it or if you still have a fighting chance?
Oh, you're giving me the choice?
I have an idea in mind, but I don't want to...
I have an idea. Wednesday night, we're going to draft, right?
Uh-huh.
Your number one pick versus my number one pick.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that.
Are we on the same wavelength here?
Oh, God, it's scary how often this happens now. But yeah, let's do it. Wednesday, right after the GMP 64 draft, you will get the Fire Pro Wrestling No Mercy Clash at the Feast for the third week of January. I love it.
Well, now I can't wait to get that first pick. But George, with that, what are we playing next week?
All right. So, it's Rumble season. There's not a lot of Royal Rumble games. We've already played one of them. But there is one that we have yet to tackle. And I think next week is the perfect time because we will be playing the Royal Rumble video game for the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh, baby. And I believe we said we wanted to have a friend of the pod on there for this one, huh?
Yeah, I think maybe the return of a face and a voice that we have not had on this podcast in quite some time.
All right, I'm going to send out the bat signal and see what he says. But George, with that, why don't you take us home?
All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It is currently the best way besides listening to support the podcast, and be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to wherever great podcasts can be found. As always, wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance, be safe. Johnny Clash, take us home. Say goodbye.
Game over. Marks?
Game Marks podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the Clash at the Feast, how can I give more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks podcast every single Monday.